I'm going to quickly show you two different things that have happened in the gaming landscape in the past couple of years, and what I want you to do is kind of reflect on which you think has been the bigger cash grab. So as many of you know, the launch for Halo 2 on PC has been anything but smooth. Halo 2 Classic has some legitimate game-breaking bugs, Halo 2 Anniversary still doesn't run the smoothest, and hell, 343 even managed to absolutely break Halo 3 on Xbox in the process of this release. Before the game came out, there was sort of a mini controversy as 343 put out a dev update stating all the bugs that were going to be in the game at the launch. This outraged some members of the community, as admittedly there were a lot of bugs on this list, and I did come really close to making a video on this, but I honestly ended up just being lazy because, well, I am pretty lazy. So I bring this up because now I kind of want to talk about what I was going to talk about in that video, as it has become even more relevant than it was before. So the premise of this video was going to be that the whole situation was just overblown, and while some of these bugs weren't great by any means, people were just being upset for the sake of being upset at 343, kinda like we often are. The amount of tweets and videos I saw of people freaking out over the sun not rendering in campaign sometimes was honestly unreal. That's a bug that most players literally will not even notice, and if they do, it's the type of bug that you go, oh that's weird, the sun's not there, and then you continue on with your life, playing Halo 2, playing through the campaign, and having a good time. For some reason though, that bug was the poster child for people to kinda shit on 343 and shit on all the bugs that were going to be in the game, despite there clearly being more game impacting ones that were on that list. One thing that I really was going to point out in this video is that most games have bugs. Tons of bugs, honestly. However, your average gamer isn't going to know about 99% of them because you aren't going to experience them. Or if you do, you're not even going to realize there was a bug. The reason everyone collectively in the community knew about all these bugs is because 343 came out and said, hey, these are the entire list of every bug that we have found for H2C and H2A that are all going to be in launch. This list was brought to the community and it made it really obvious to see all the bugs. However, in other games, all those bugs just sit in the background and you don't really know about them unless you personally experience them or someone posts a clip of it on Reddit, and you really don't get that full list unless some community member puts a ton of time together to collect them all. This list of bugs wasn't really game breaking. However, sometime between the flight and when the game released, 343 decided to change things up in their build, without testing I assume, and just absolutely broke everything. These new bugs that were introduced between the flight and launch were not in the flight, they were not present in the flight, and these were totally new. So this is clearly something that changed after all the flighting. I'm not going to go into every bug because they've been all over YouTube, Twitter, and somewhat on Reddit when the mods aren't deleting the posts. But if you want to find them, I'll kind of link some of the videos in the description below, along with showing some of the clips here on the screen. I will be clear, as I have mostly been playing Halo 2 Anniversary multiplayer, that I haven't experienced most of these besides a couple of the Halo 2 Classic issues. The bugs that people are experiencing though are ranging anything from extremely broken hit registration in Halo 2 Classic, and I'm not talking you try and 4-shot someone and one burst appears to hit, but it says it didn't register and you have to shoot him again. I'm talking people are eating entire clips. They're eating 3 to 4 sniper shots, making the game legitimately unplayable. Along with that, you have rockets and grenades just straight up disappearing when you throw or shoot them. Sometimes when you shoot the rocket, it flies out of a completely different spot in the sky to come down and hit people, and there's many other bugs. This is not acceptable for a game release. And then on the Halo 3 front, a game that's not even on PC, the game just straight up breaks after playing it too long. Vehicles are driving themselves, all sorts of crazy things. I understand this necessarily wasn't caused by the Halo 2 PC launch, as it was instead caused by them trying to fix some of those Halo 3 framerate issues they've been having, but still, these are the type of bugs that you cannot put out into the public. These are the bugs that you see only in the earliest of early access games, and they are at the detriment of the game. I strongly urge you to look up some of these bugs because while it's sad that these made it into the game, it's absolutely hilarious that a game released in this state. This honestly reminds me of some of those bug compilations that were put out when Fallout 76 released, because that game was a broken mess. And hey, now we get to compare ourselves to Fallout 76 some more, and that's a good thing, right? At some point, or depending on how long I took to get this video out, I'm going to assume 343 will fix most of these game-breaking bugs, although who knows how many of the smaller bugs that haven't even bubbled their way up to the surface yet are going to continue to slip through the cracks. If you talk to avid Halo 3 players on Xbox One, the hit registration for that game has only gotten worse as time goes on, and I think more bugs like that aren't widely noticed by the player base are going to continue to crop up in the MCC as we continue to go along. Now, before we move on to my initial impressions of the game, beyond just the bugs and the launch, I want to quickly talk about the idea that 343 should just delay these games, because I think people fail to realize how shitty of a spot 343 really is in. Whether that spot is self-inflicted or it's being forced upon them by Microsoft is hard to say without insider knowledge, but basically the Master Chief Collection on PC was supposed to come out last year in 2019. However, 343 clearly ran into many issues getting the games to play well and probably not be broken buggy messes on PC, as the only game that ended up coming out last year was Halo Reach in December. Now we're sitting in mid-May of 2020 with Halo Reach, Halo CE, and the newly released Halo 2 Classic and Halo 2 Anniversary released on PC to various degrees of brokenness. Many members of the community have come out and said that rather than releasing Halo 2 with all these bugs, or releasing Halo CE with absolutely broken spread issues on unlocked frame rates, they should have taken the extra month or two that it would take to fix these bugs so that when they put out these titles, they would have been much better on release. And in isolation, I agree. We haven't had a Halo game on PC since Halo 2 Vista way back in the day, so what would waiting another 6 months or a year really hurt to actually get a solid, competent product? Well, here's where the problem arises. Halo Infinite is supposed to come out holiday of this year, so probably sometime between September and the start of December, just based on general game releases. Usually you're not going to get a game that releases late into December. So if 343 was to delay these games even by weeks, at this point, they're going to start releasing those MCC titles on top of the release of Halo Infinite, and that's a big no-no. You have to have some type of gap between when the MCC finishes releasing and when Halo Infinite releases, because if you were to release them at the same time, a game like Halo 3 will take players from Halo Infinite, and that is something that 343 does not want. They want every Halo fan, or every returning Halo fan, or every new Halo fan, they want all of them to be on, they want them to be playing Halo Infinite together. They don't want the player base split up like it currently is between Halo 5 and MCC. They're going to want all of their player base on one product, because let's be honest, Halo Infinite is going to be the game that has those monetization models. MCC really doesn't have any besides just buying the game, as it doesn't seem that they're going to be adding microtransactions into it. And while I'm by no means an advocate of microtransactions, it's just kind of the state of the gaming landscape in general, as developers seem more and more likely to continue support for products that make lots of money, and as much as I hate to say it, it does kind of make sense. Not only from the money side though, you also want your new and shiny product to be the game that has all the players and all the support. 343, or Microsoft, has spent millions of dollars producing this game, and releasing these old and very nostalgic games on top of that product would not be a good idea. I don't care if you personally like modern Halo games or whatever, no competent game dev or publisher is going to want to hamper their new product like that. Obviously Halo 3 is the big dog there, as that's the only game left that hasn't been released that is truly really popular, as there aren't a whole ton of people clamoring for Halo 4 on PC. But you get the point. I really do think that the Master Chief Collection won't get much support post-Infinite as long as that game is semi-successful. I've always believed that the only reason that they even bothered to fix the Master Chief Collection in the first place, Halo 5 didn't have the player retention that they wanted it to. They've used the Master Chief Collection as a marketing product twice now. Obviously once before Halo 5, and now again before Halo Infinite. And that's why both times it really doesn't have room to be delayed. It has to come out before the game that it's supposed to build up hype for, even if that hype seems to be just all of us complaining about how broken the games are, once again. If you look back in history though, it didn't really seem to hurt Halo 5 sales that much, as Halo 5 still sold pretty dang well. What I'm saying though, is that at this point there is no room for 343 to delay these games any longer, And that's why I think we're seeing the state of these releases be what they are. Is that an excuse for 343? No, absolutely not. But I think it's something that we should all try and understand as to why these games really can't be delayed at this point. I honestly think 343's options now are just trying to put out these games and minimize as many of the game-breaking bugs as possible, although clearly they've done a bad job on this one, or just cancel the project, because they do not want to hurt Halo Infinite. So that's what I wanted to say on those topics. Now, let's move on to my initial impressions of Halo 2 Classic and Halo 2 Anniversary on PC, besides just talking about the bugs and crappy launch. Well, to be honest, I'm having a damn good time. I'm extremely glad to see that 343 decided to roll out a ranked playlist for Halo 2 Anniversary, even if it only has 3 maps that get a little old from repeat play. I love that at least for as long as the player base holds up, I'm easily able to find ranked matches again on PC in multiple different playlists. I'm also glad to see that there's going to be online cups and tournaments for Halo 2 Anniversary that are open to the public rather than just inviting specific teams and streamers. I think this is great for the community, as it gives some of us that clearly aren't going to go pro or aren't major streamers something to compete in and something to play and have fun. It also gives up-and-comers a chance to actually be up-and-coming rather than just hoping someone plucks them out of the wilderness to be on a team. This is all super great, and it makes me pretty happy about things going forward. I won't lie to you, most of my time has been spent in Halo 2 Anniversary multiplayer, and while I wouldn't be sad if more maps were added, I find the game very fun. I know, traitor! Halo 2 Classic is supposed to be the game that you enjoy. And I agree, Halo 2 Classic is a very good game and was a great game in its time. But for me, as someone who was never super into it competitively, I find it hard to motivate myself to grind out that game in 2020 to try and master all the intricate mechanics. So for me, Halo 2 Classic is a game that I'll play socially, I'll play it with some of my friends to have fun, but if I want to try and grind a game and I want to try and improve myself, I'm gonna look at Halo 2 Anniversary for that. I know some people don't like Halo 2 Anniversary for what it is, but I think that it does offer a semi-competent modern classic experience. It's not perfect by any means, but it does an okay job trying to do what it set out to do. One thing that has definitely disappointed me about Halo 2 Anniversary and even Halo 2 Classic is that the controller versus mouse balance still seems to be pretty off. I was really hoping, although honestly probably pretty naively, that 343 would make an attempt to make some of the later games after Reach play better on mouse and keyboard versus controller. However, I honestly think that Halo 2 Anniversary and Halo 2 Classic, especially Halo 2 Anniversary, play much worse on mouse and keyboard than even Reach did, so you're at even more of a competitive disadvantage if you're trying to play on mouse and keyboard at a high level. To be clear, if you're playing social games, you're playing campaign, you're playing custom games, it doesn't really matter. You can play on whatever is most comfortable to you, and you can even probably get pretty far up the rank ladders playing on mouse and keyboard, but at that top level, I think we're going to see everyone playing on controller again, and it's just a little disappointing to see. There are bugs that honestly should get more attention and should be fixed well before this, but it's disappointing to see that another PC title isn't really up to the pars of a PC game. I have no problems with controllers having aim assist and being a viable option on PC, but that balance really needs to be there so that you could play either input method, not just one or the other. Sadly, this is something that could be fixed with input-based matchmaking, but Halo on PC right now could not support that. So we're kind of stuck with what we are, we're all stuck into the same hopper, and I guess we just have to deal with the imbalance and hope it improves moving forward, even though it most likely won't. So what do I hope to see going forward for Halo 2 PC? Well, obviously, the huge bugs in Halo 2 Classic need to be fixed first, although I'm truly hoping that those are fixed before I even get this video out. After that, it would be nice to see Forge finally release on PC, as Halo 2 Anniversary has a pretty nice Forge mode, and PC players would be able to play with that and create some cool things while we wait for Halo 3. Who knows when that's coming out though at this point, so that's just totally up in the air. Other than that, I would love to see a Forge map or two implemented into the Halo 2 Anniversary Hardcore playlist to offer a tad bit more variety, or possibly just the introduction of a ranked Team Slayer playlist that mirrors the map pool they're using in 4v4 Social. Let's be clear though, this is something that needs to be added basically now if they're going to do it, not wait 2 months until the game's player base had died down to implement it like they did with Halo Reach. From my experiences so far, and this could be totally anecdotal, but when I'm using the match composer and I have on Halo 2 Classic and Halo 2 Anniversary along with all the modes, I consistently get Halo 2 Anniversary games over Halo 2 Classic, so that leads me to believe that more people are playing Halo 2 Anniversary. Obviously 343 has those stats on their back end they can just look at, but I do think that Halo 2 Anniversary, at least for now, could support that extra ranked playlist. It's not by any means the end of the world if they weren't to add this. I mean, you can just play 4v4 Team Slayer and Social and play those exact maps I'm talking about, so that mostly does the job. While the Forge maps that are in Social are clearly not up to the par of proper dev-made maps, they do a pretty decent job offering variety, and some of them are pretty fun to play even if they look less pretty than the proper maps. Halo 2 Anniversary's Forge does have a tad bit more going for it than Reach, so at least it's not all gray. In a pipe dream, I would love to see a couple more actual maps brought into H2A, but like I mentioned earlier when talking about delays, I doubt 343 has the manpower or desire to make that happen. Plus, if we're real, once Halo 3 releases, assuming it works well, I think most of the players are going to move on to that. You can look at the Xbox for an example of that, as Halo 3 is by far the most lively game on the Master Chief Collection on Xbox, and most of the other games kind of struggle to retain player bases and find matches, especially in ranked. Apparently challenges also made it into the game, for campaign only though, and unless I'm just stupid, I can't even find a menu in-game showing them. According to this post though that I found on the Halo Waypoint forums, it seems like they're just extremely basic and consist of completing campaign missions on various difficulties. Don't get me wrong, I have no issues with basic challenges like this, but I was hoping for some more on the creative side along with them being present in multiplayer, so hopefully this changes soon. I would also love to see Halo 2 Anniversary implement proper customization, similar to Reach in the Master Chief Collection, even if some people weren't a huge fan of how you unlocked those armors in that game. As someone who plays a semi-decent amount of Halo on PC, or just I guess Halo in general, it seems like I've been tier 100 forever now on the Battle Pass, so some new content there would be nice. Overall, the launch of Halo 2 on PC has been disappointing, but if I'm honest with you guys, I'm still having fun with it. Does that make the State of the Games launch okay? No, absolutely not. But I have gotten a good amount of enjoyment out of the game, and I think I will continue to get a good amount of enjoyment out of the game in the weeks to months going forward. Like I mentioned in previous videos, for many of us who have never played or played very little of Halo 2 Anniversary on Xbox, on PC we are experiencing a mostly new game to us. While the game is pretty shallow in terms of content, it should hold players over for some time, especially with the announced tournaments keeping the competitive scene interested in Halo 2 Anniversary again for the time being. I think that was a really good decision on 343's part, or face it I guess since they're the ones holding the cup, to bring back some of that competitive fire back into the scene. Anyways, those are just some of my thoughts on the launch of Halo 2 PC, along with some of my first impressions from playing it. And hey, even if you're having a bad time with Halo 2 PC, you don't like Halo 2 Anniversary, they broke your baby Halo 2 Classic, look at the bright side. Halo 3 is next. If you enjoyed this video, you know what to do. If for some reason you want to watch me play Halo or other random games, you can follow me over on Twitch at twitch.tv/Arrrash with 3 Rs, or if you want to read my random thoughts, you can follow me over on Twitter at Arrrash with 4 Rs. And I'll see you guys next time.